All right, appreciate everybody being here today. Obviously, signing day. We signed our class in December, but kind of formally celebrated them this morning, and we'll celebrate them again tonight. I don't know if y'all saw the big setup out here with the barbecue. That's become a fun event, and it's always exciting, and it's a blessing when a bunch of young men choose to come to Clemson. They choose to come be a part of our program. Every single signing class that I have had has won a championship. Most have won multiple, and I don't have any doubt that this group's going to keep that tradition going. And on paper, it'll say that this is a top 10 recruiting class, and this is our 13th, I think, top 15 recruiting class in a row. For whatever that means. But we signed 27 signees, and 13 on offense, 14 on defense. Really 13 and 13. One of them will be a guy we'll cross train both sides. 15 mid-years, and so incredible to have that amount of guys in here. A couple preferred walk-ons on top of that group, but most importantly, we got 7 starters that are coming back for a COVID year, a 5th and 6th year of Clemson football, and so that was a little bit unusual. 7 guys that I really planned to be gone that all chose to stay, and so really excited about that group. But this class, I think we hit all of our needs. Starting in the trenches, we got some big nasties on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Thomas crushed it in the OL, and Ski and Nick did a great job, with those defensive linemen. Incredible group of players. And then we've got another really good, talented young quarterback that I think has a bright future ahead. And another veteran guy to kind of come in and shore the room up, and a bunch of skill. Guys that can run, cover, catch, running backs, tight ends, DBs, and 2 really good linebackers that we're excited about. So it's a complete class. We got an excellent team coming back, especially again with those 7 COVID guys that have taken an extra year. So with these guys, it's going to be a great addition, and with the 15 mid-years that are already here, it should be a pretty salty spring, and be a lot of fun out there, a lot of competition going on. So excited to get started with this team March 6th. We'll get back on the field with them next week from an off-season standpoint, and then March 6th will be our first spring ball practice, and then April 15th will be the spring game. But guys have been training. We've got a lot to do. We'll take a few days to catch our breath, and then we're going to dive right in as coaches as far as our meetings and what we got to get done in the month of February. Got a lot of work to do to get ready for spring, to get everybody on the same page, etc. And then obviously we'll have our all-in drills as well. So so that's really kind of what today's all about. And again, just kind of formally celebrating the class, and then an opportunity. Really haven't had an opportunity to formally introduce Garrett. We literally have, from the time he got here, we've been on the road. We've either been here recruiting, doing some type of function, or we've been on the road for the last couple of weeks, and really been all over the place. So it's been a busy time for everyone, and so I'm excited to be able to kind of formally introduce him and his family. But before I do that, I want to, again, and I know we put a statement out and all that stuff, but really just publicly be able to thank Brandon Streeter. Those of you that work in the media here, I think y'all can all agree. I mean, he's a first-class person and a beautiful family. Brandon Streeter and Ashley have represented Clemson they're Clemson people. We give an award in Brandon's honor, and we continue to do that. I mean, he is a true Clemson man, and he did a fantastic job for the Clemson Tigers, and worked tirelessly to make us better, and he made us better. From the time he got here in 2014, his first bowl game, but, he coached Deshaun for 2 years. He recruited Trevor Lawrence, and coached him for 3 years to the first pick in the draft. He recruited, Cade and CV and DJ, and when we had a change last year with Tony going to Virginia, he absolutely deserved and earned the opportunity to lead the offense, and he did a great job. I mean, he worked tirelessly. We got better in really every area. Honestly, we got better. But you know, I just felt like that it was the right time, and you know, we weren't quite where we needed to be. And so these are hard decisions, especially when you love the people that are involved. And I absolutely love Brandon Streeter and Ashley and Chamberlain and Ford and Maymo. I mean, they're family to me, and always will be. And Brandon Streeter will land on his feet. We made a change with Billy Napier. I think he turned out okay. He's the head coach of Florida. You know, we've had some changes over the years, and you know, this is my 6th offensive coordinator. And when we've had changes, guys have moved on to be head coaches and different things. And Brandon Streeter's got a great future ahead. But you know, as I evaluate kind of where we are, and I felt like this was the right time, and with a new quarterback kind of coming in, taking the reins, and then the right opportunity to hire Garrett. So super excited about that. And again, you know, very thankful for Brandon Streeter, and hopefully the Clemson fans will really appreciate all that he did for this program. And with that, man, it's exciting to be able to welcome Garrett and Lindsey. Got 2 precious boys, and Gibson and Grayson. Won't take you long to catch these 2 rugrats running around all over the place, but this is a beautiful family. You know, a football family. I've known Lincoln quite a while, but I've never met Garrett. Obviously, know his pedigree and his background and all that stuff, but you know, this was something that kind of happened in short order, and the best part about it is nobody knew about it till needed to know about it, and I think that says a lot about the people involved, and especially Garrett. So we're really excited. Again, just very impressed with what he did at SMU and taking the reins there, and then to walk into TCU. They really basically had the same guys back, and they went from 5 wins to, you know, playing in the national championship. So you know, first time I ever talked to him was Tuesday after the national championship game. You know, I talked to Lincoln a couple times, and then I was at the AFCA head coaches meeting, and you know, we connected briefly, and then when he got back from the national championship, we got a chance to really get on the phone Tuesday night for, I don't know, hour and a half, couple hours, whatever it was, and then into Wednesday, and next thing you know, here we go. So great fit for us. I think that he is, you know, one of the bright offensive minds in the game. I think he's a great fit for Clemson. He's a great fit for me. He's a great fit for our personnel. You know, philosophy-wise, we really match up. I mean, you know, people sometimes, he gets labeled as an air raid because that's kind of his background, but you know, if you study him, they've run the football. You know, sometimes when you think about air raid, you think about not running the ball. And they had 1,400 plus yard rusher last year. They've done a great job in running the ball. But I have no doubt he's gonna make us better offensively, and I think we can help him, you know, grow and continue to mature and get better as well as he navigates his career. So it's a great fit, a great opportunity, and again, great timing to bring him on board. And so, you know, with that, we'll open it up, and I don't know if Garrett wants to have an open comment here, and then we'll take some questions from you guys.
Coach, would like to go straight to questions?
Yeah, we just go straight to it.
There you go.
All right, if we can, if you all can identify your name and affiliation prior to asking the question, so Coach Riley can begin to form a relationship with you all, that would be great. Anybody like to lead us off?
Hey, Coach, this is David Hudd. I work with TigerNet here at Clemson. How much were you aware of the Clemson program before Coach Swinney contacted you about this? I'm sure you'd followed them, but then when this opportunity came along, what went through your mind?
Yeah, did not have a ton of background or a whole lot of knowledge of Clemson and just kind of how Coach Swinney operates. You know, I mean, tried to investigate a little bit as much as I could with people that I know Coach a lot better than I do, and so that was important. Just as all this unfolded to try and gauge that a little bit, but it's just been, man, it's been awesome since we started. I mean, we hit the ground running, like you said, recruiting, and getting to travel with the other coaches and getting to know them. I didn't know any of these guys. I'd heard of a lot of these assistants here at Clemson, but it's been awesome to really actually get around them. So yeah, I didn't know a ton about it coming into it, other than just following kind of his path and his career and what he's done here. So that's been very, very neat for me to kind of just see that, not coming in blindly, but just coming in not truly knowing until you get here.
Coach Wright.
Garrett, Pete Yacovelli from the Associated Press here in South Carolina. Have you had time to even reflect on what last year was? Because watching it from afar, it seemed like such an incredible experience to do what TCU was able to do.
It's been hard to, on some of these plane rides, I guess I've had a little chance to sit there and reflect, but yeah, it's been such a whirlwind for us, for TCU, for my family, individually. So I haven't had a ton of time. I know that will come. It was a great run. It was a great ride. It was one of the funnest years I've ever had as a coach. Was able to be around just a lot of great players and great people, and here at Clemson, that was part of the draw too, is to be around just unbelievable people. But no, I haven't had a ton of time just to sit back and reflect on it too much.
Coach Riley, Trevor Groves from CUTigers.com. Welcome. I guess Coach Swinney just mentioned coming from the air raid system. You played under Coach Leach. I'm sure you're still dealing with the loss of him, but just how much of an influence did he have on you and your decision to become a coach, and what did you learn from him? And also, your brother coached while you played there at Texas Tech, and then you followed him to East Carolina. How much of a mold did he have on you, and how have you kind of tried to put your own stamp on your offense compared to your brothers?
Yeah, I guess the first part of your question is Coach Leach is probably the whole reason why I wanted to coach. I was very lucky to be at Texas Tech at that point in time. Said it before, it was just a period of time where he was very cutting edge with what they were doing and kind of the run they went on at Texas Tech. But I think just more than anything, the way that he was an out-of-the-box thinker and did things his way, was very appealing to me to kind of see a different style, I guess, a little bit different than the norm. And that's what piqued my interest there as a college student, as a young quarterback. But yeah, his impact is, as we all know, is certainly touched the game in a lot of ways. And then moving along to your second part of the question with Leakin, all these stops. Every stop I've been on, you try and take away pieces from those experiences, right? And I certainly did in the 2 years that I was with him at East Carolina, where we were there together and did some nice things under Coach McNeil, who's been a huge mentor for me. Specifically with him, of course, I've taken some pieces away from that experience, but I certainly have from all the other coaches that I've been around too.
Garrett, Larry Williams with CUTigers.com. Can you elaborate on the running game and sort of the evolution of that, and what Dabo was saying? It's not your sort of the air raid that Coach Leach brought in, and sort of the foundation of that, and the evolution of it, and from your perspective, and the importance you place on not just with conventional running game, but also the quarterback's legs and making that threat as well.
Yeah, sure. I guess when we went to East Carolina, that's just what we kind of started to develop, and that's, as a young coach, I was a GA, was exposed to that and kind of what we were trying to accomplish there, and we just knew you better run the football if you really want to win championships, and if you really want to contend for them consistently, you better have the ability to do it. So started to kind of develop that part of our offense at East Carolina, and I think for me professionally, a huge year in my coaching career so far had been at App State, a place that is known for running the ball and was a totally different background than mine. And that was great for me professionally to be around those guys that had done it so well for so long now. And, we've certainly been able to apply that to my philosophy and our philosophy from the run game standpoint. So, you look at us at TCU, a year ago, that was something we did pretty well, and was certainly a huge reason of why we had some success there offensively.
That's cool, Fox Carolina. Hi Garrett. You probably, I'm assuming, had a couple of options. You obviously award-winning performance as a coordinator at TCU, making it to the national championship. Why Clemson? You said it wasn't like a program you were aspiring to, that you had, worshipped Dabo in any way previous
I just think the simple answer is just kind of the total package of what could get me away, you know, is, listen, I was very happy there. We had just gotten there, year one, unbelievable ride, unbelievable season. You know, my family, my wife's family's all from Texas, just all these connections, people we had worked with, loved our colleagues there, loved our players. But it had to be something special like this, and I think it's, you know, it's the consistency here, it's the stability, it's the, you know, the balance of life and enjoying it and being happy and being in a small community like this that is very tight knit, you know, and then plays the caliber of football that we expect Clemson to be playing. So I think just it had to be something that was going to check the box there in all areas. People that know me know, you know, I'm a very thoughtful person, and you know, I'm going to think through things, hopefully from all angles. So yeah, I mean, it just, the more and more we kind of learned about it, and the more we talked, and the more this just made sense.
Hey,
Will
Coach.
Vanderbilt with Clemson, all Clemson. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Cade and just, I know you recruited him out of high school, know what your thoughts now, what you've seen on him on tape, and what you can do maybe next year with him.
Yeah, I think he's the full package. You know, I've known of Cade and known Cade for probably about 3 years now. You know, recruited him while he was a young pup there at Austin Westlake, and the great career he had at high school level. But yeah, I think, listen, he's very skilled, he's very talented, but I just think between the years, the way he carries himself, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that, you know, that's kind of the magic with Cade Klubnik, you know, and so I'm very eager and anxious to get to work with him. You know, we've just got off the road and hadn't been able to do a lot with him or see him too much, but I know that kid's foaming at the mouth just like the rest of our players, and trust me, we as coaches are ready to get going with him too.
Garrett, back on with all three. I think you said this morning that this offense will be a lot different than the TCU offense, or at least somewhat different. Just how do you kind of believe in adapting to personnel and kind of doing what fits them?
Yeah, to me, that's the whole deal. You know, I mean, listen, I'm not a coach that has a ton of pride in certain plays, and we're going to run this just because I love it. I mean, we're going to figure out what our guys can do and what we feel like is going to make us the best offense possible, okay, to position our team, you know, to win games. And that's my job, and that's our job. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be totally adaptive to, you know, what we have, what we can handle, and what we feel like is going to give us the best chance to win. That's it.
Dabo, if I could ask you a question, Anna, Clemson 24/7. I think this morning you said plays are plays, but how you get into them can be different. Just can you elaborate on that and
Yeah.
what you saw?
I don't remember what somebody was asking me a question. Talking about, you know, offense. You know, I mean, obviously there's a lot of collaboration. You know, we got a lot of success here for a long time, and there's a lot of good coaches out there. And so you got to get on the same page. I mean, 4 verticals is 4 verticals is what I was meaning. You know, inside zone is inside zone. You know, the counter is the counter, the power is the power, slants are slants. You know, digs are digs, curls are curls, screens are screens. But how you get to those things, how you procedurally do certain things, cadence, formationing, motions, just verbiage, you know, there's a lot that goes into, you know, we can get on the same page quick as football people because we know, okay, that's the power. You know, we know that's the zone. We know that is a counter. We know that this is a drive concept, a mesh concept, you know, bang eight. We know these things as football people, but everybody calls things differently. So we've got to collaborate, get on the same page, so that we can, you know, shorten the learning curve for everybody involved. We all have, you know, backgrounds in offense. So, you know, it starts with Garrett though, being comfortable with, you know, what he wants to keep, what he wants to change. You know, there's going to be certain things that he's going to learn here that's going to help him, and obviously he's going to bring a whole fresh, you know, way of doing certain things. Where and to again procedurally to get to some of the things that we've done for a long time. Again, football's football. If you break it all down, you'll see a lot of similarities. To be honest with you, but how you do those things and maybe how you game plan those things, how you install those things, how you practice those things. Again, how you drill those things, your cadence, et cetera, et cetera. Those things is where you really got to get on the same page and collaborate so that you're all, you know, together there. So that'll be his big task coming up over the next month of February, and really start you know, and then you got to learn personnel too. As he said, I mean, we got a really good roster, a very talented roster, and you know, there's been some years where they probably had no tight ends, like, right? And we obviously got some pretty elite dudes there. So it's using your personnel and you know, putting it all together from a staff standpoint. So that'll be fun though. That'll be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun to you know, learn different things, have a different approach. Again, that's what I meant by it. You know, it's not like we're, you know, going to the triple option here. Yes, this is again, we all have the same components within offense, but you know, collaborating and getting on the same page will be the fun part.
Paul Strelo from Rivals and Tiger Illustrated. What, for these 2-3 weeks, what has recruiting been like for you, especially when some of the guys you're bringing in are more familiar with the facilities than you probably are?
Yeah, every time we go on a tour or do anything like that in this building or meet somebody new, I'm right there with them because I told the recruits, better not ask me where something is. I'm learning this as we go too. But no, I mean, just the amount of people, the amount of staff, the amount of people just around campus that have, man, just been awesome, you know, just so welcoming, and not just for me, but some of these recruits as we had visits and the junior day the other day, and just the amount of people that truly touch this program, it's pretty amazing, you know, and it's people that are genuine about what they do, you know. I mean, like I said, it didn't take long to recognize that.
Coach Riley, Amanda Poole with Watchbox out of Columbia. When you have such success at TCU in just a matter of 1 year, how do you kind of handle that pressure that Clemson fans might be putting on you to have that same success in just 1 year here?
There's always pressure. I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it. That's the job we all signed up for as coaches this day and age, and certainly at this level. But yeah, I mean, pressure's pressure. We know it's going to be there. Try not to put any more on yourself. But yeah, I mean, the expectations I think you put on yourself are always probably a little higher than your fan base. That's just how we're wired as coaches.
Coach Riley, Grayson from Tiger Illustrated. Just to jump off of Dabo's comment on the tight ends with that elite group, now with Brinkstall being the leading man for that position, what kind of advantages can that present in the passing game, especially for your offense?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky to be successful in the last several years, really, with tight ends, and I think it's going to be kind of a similar situation that way. Is those guys are mismatch problems, right? I mean, there are problems defensively, and you know, if you can do a lot of things with those guys out of that personnel grouping, then it really opens up what you can do from a tempo standpoint, and not having to sub all the time and things of that nature that you can get in and out of pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, I think those guys are going to be be a big part of what we do for sure, and the passing game and the run game, and we're certainly going to be excited to utilize them.
Coach Swinney, I know you've always got your plan. At what point did you kind of say to yourself, okay, I need to make a change here? And then at what point in the past did you ever say, okay, Garrett Riley's the guy that if I ever have an open, I'm going to give him a call? What point did you kind of first say, yeah, he's going in my contacts?
Yeah, honestly, man, I'm so focused during the season. You know, I'm focused solely on that week, that day. That's just kind of how I go about my business. And there's a time and a place where you evaluate. We do that every year. Every year, I evaluate everything in our program. We start over, kind of tear it all down, and then we build it back every single year. You know, I always say we build a new house every year, and we're going to live in it. And so, and some years you have change that happens for other reasons, and some years you create change. You know, so really just getting away after the game, at the last game, and you know, in where we were. And again, that was the hard part because we really improved in a lot. I mean, we had a rough year in 21, but for a lot of reasons. But we got better in a lot of areas. We had our best third down, our best red zone. I think we were 30th in scoring, but I just felt like this was the change that, you know, I felt like was best for these players and best for Clemson. And again, ultimately, that's how I make decisions. You know, I'm very prayerful about I don't make any decisions on a whim around here, ever. Every decision I make, I'm incredibly prayerful about it, and I put a lot of thought. And so the best thing was just being able to just get away for a few days and really process and start the evaluation process of our season, and with good perspective, because we had a great year. But I just felt like this was the change that was needed. And 34 first downs in 101 plays, we got to score. And that ultimately was one of those things that weighed heavily on me after that ball game. And then in totality where we were, I just felt like, again, it was the best thing for these players, for this personnel, and it was the best thing for Clemson. And that's kind of my litmus test for all decisions that I make. What's best for the player, number one. What's best for Clemson. And then once I kind of had peace in that, it was, I didn't want to just make a change to make a change. And, it's got to be the right change. This was the right change, and the opportunity presented itself. I'd never talked to you. I've been around Lincoln a million times. I usually see him when we go on the little staff trip right after Sunday. I've seen him for several years. Been around him obviously, but I reached out to him and just kind of had a conversation. But it was easy, for him to be on the list, right? I mean, he's the top assistant coach in college football. What he's done at a young age at SMU, and then also, this past year. I mean, pretty easy to take notice of that. But that's all great. The stats are stats, and there's a lot of successful people out there, but successful people that fit me, that fit this program, that fit this staff, that fit the culture of Clemson, and that's different. It was just easy, like the first conversation to all the conversations, and I mean, he's just a great fit for us. He's going to do an amazing job, and unbelievable family. I mean, his wife Lindsay, she's amazing. His mother-in-law Linda, I didn't get a chance. I mean, she's amazing. I got to spend a lot of time with her, but just a great family and football people, and so it was just a good fit in every aspect. And then just talking ball and talking things and just philosophy and all these things, it just really all added up. It had to make sense for me, just like it had to make sense for him. And the more and more we talked, it's like, okay, this is right. And so made the move.
So I want to follow up on that, talking about him as Garrett as a person. Such a big part of all of this is also the recruiting aspect, and you were able to see right away his ability to connect and communicate with some of the future of this program. What have you seen? How has he maybe even surprised you and surpassed your expectation in his ability to relate to these kids and talk football with them?
Yeah, really hasn't surprised me at all. After my dealings with him, I mean, I knew that he was going to be a natural in connecting with our guys here, and also with the recruits. And I talked to Cade and CV before I ever made a change. Kind of all happened at the same time. I didn't want them to hear anything from anybody, but me. And and again, because that's a tough change for them, but they were super excited about the opportunity with Garrett. And so obviously Cade already had a little bit of a relationship there, and CB knew of him, and so going on the road and him being able to meet all of our classes signed, right? So him being able to go on the road and for everyone to be able to meet him and understand him, and then to watch him communicate with our coaches and communicate with the families. And we've had a couple of different events, weekends and stuff. I mean, he's done a great job. And again, you don't have the type of success that he's had if you're not a good communicator.
Coach Riley, TCU, SMU, obviously a couple schools that recruit heavily in the state of Texas, and I imagine you hold on to some of those ties that you made. But just how exciting is it for you to be at a program like Clemson that recruits all over the map? And also, I'd like to get your thoughts on talking about how important the running game is in your offense, just having a back like Will Shipley coming back.
Yeah, I've been in this region before. I've spent 4 years in North Carolina, so mean, I'm excited to kind of get back to this region of recruiting. I thought it's always enjoyable as a coach to kind of be able to do that in this region. I think there's a lot of great players, great recruiting bed in the whole, Southeast Carolinas. And, I think it was the second night we went up north to Pennsylvania and Boston and some places that I probably haven't been too much, So it's just cool to experience some of those new things, but certainly was excited to kind of get back to this region to recruit the type of athletes that we're going to recruit. And then with the running back, I'm excited. I mean, knew of Will when I was at App State. He was kind of coming out of high school at that time, so I certainly had heard about him and have been able to kind of follow his career so far. But certainly excited to work with him. I mean, what a player and what a guy. Just all the stories I've already heard from these coaches about what type of kid he is. He just sounds like an absolute rock star. So can't wait to get around him, along with Maffa. I know we got returning as well, and other guys in that running back room. So ready to get this thing started with those guys as well.
Dabo, I know the staff mentioned want to stick with a run more, maybe not doing that enough at times this year. Did that play any part in the decision to make a change?
No.
Dabo, is your involvement in the offense going to be about the same as usual? Any changes there, or just from your?
I won't be any different. It's been for 14 years. I've been involved for 14 years, and not just offense, defense, special teams, recruiting, staffing. There's not one area that I'm not involved in. So, excited about a change. And again, this is my 6th offensive coordinator since I've been the head coach, and look forward to, again, continuing to learn and continue to get better and definitely add value, where I can add value and help where I know I can help.
Yeah, but you mentioned scoring, but were there other specific aspects of the offense?
Yeah, just pass. We got to get better passing the ball. Period. We got to be better. We're better throwing the ball. We're going to. I think we've got a really great foundation from the run standpoint. But we got to get better throwing and catching. And I think he's going to really help us there. And we got to be better on pass defense too. So those are the 2 areas that we got to really improve this year. And if we do, we'll like the results.
Here, speaking of throwing and catching, when you put on film of a high school wide receiver, what are something that you're looking for that sticks out to you when you're watching that film?
I think guys that make competitive plays, guys that truly have ball skills and things that are natural to them of not just always making the play when they're wide open or something like that at high school level, but when they're covered, when things are contested, making tough catches and competitive plays. That's always something that kind of jumps off the tape for me early on in recruiting and evaluating receivers.
Coach Riley.
Back with WLTX in Columbia. You mentioned what you're looking for in wide receivers. So do you think Antonio Williams kind of fits that bill?
Yeah, he can play whatever he wants. Yeah, no, he's had a great year. He's dynamic. He catches things naturally. He makes things happen when the ball's in his hands. So, yeah, really excited about him.
Coach Riley, some Big 12 defensive guys, when I asked, what is his, what do you see out of him? They said, well, he likes to get his best player on maybe your weakest player. He's great at halftime adjustments, likes to get at playmakers in open space. But how would you describe your offensive philosophy if you could just say, this is my mantra, this is what I do?
We're gonna be violent and fast. I think it kind of starts there. No matter whether we're in the run game or it's passing game, we're gonna attack. We're gonna be violent. We're gonna be fast. And I think ultimately it's just about distribution. Whether that's running the football, whether that's throwing it to your tight end, or this receiver, that receiver, throwing to the tailback, whatever it may be. I think if you want to become a well-rounded offense that makes it tough on defenses, I think that's probably thing number 1 for me.
Yeah, but we've had this December, February signing stuff for a few years now. How have you guys adjusted to it? And it seems like it's working for you at the moment.
It's. I wish they'd move it up earlier. That's the only thing I would change if I could change it. I wish they'd make it August 1, or either after August 1 of your senior year, you can sign any time you want. If they fire the head coach or the head coach leaves, then you're not bound to it. I wish they would do that, because I think it would protect the high school recruiting. High school recruiting is in a bad spot right now. You got a lot of kids that were getting offers that aren't getting offers, and you got a lot of kids that are committed that all of a sudden don't have a spot anymore once the portal opens. And so I wish they would. I've always wanted an early signing period, so it's been great. I mean, our guys were committed since the summer, outside of a couple guys, so it's just it was easy. But they would have all signed earlier if you let them. So I wish they'd move it earlier because it would protect a lot of young people. It would protect high school recruiting. It would cut out a lot of these fake offers, and you know, and probably help some coaches too, because they might give them another year. They got a good class signed up, and knowing that if they make a change, that those guys are basically free agents again. So it's worked well for us. We haven't had any issues. I know there's a lot of stories out there, but it's been great for us.
You feel like there's any momentum to move it up earlier?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. You know, there's probably some people who want to move it back, you know, because they want to see what happens in the portal before they make true commitments to the high school kids. So there's probably argument on both sides depending on who you ask. But you know, I would like to see it move up, just because again, I think it would protect the high school aspect of it, and secure kids' spot, and you know, that way, you know, they're not scrambling in the 11th hour because, you know, now they don't have their spot anymore. And again, a lot of these guys won't just get it; they want to get it over with. They want to have it. I mean, all the guys we've signed would have signed in the summer if we'd have let them. And we're the only sport that didn't have an early signing period. And when they said it in December, again, a lot of us wanted it earlier. They said, you know, to me, they should either leave it where it is or move it to at least November to give guys opportunity to sign. So, but as far as, you know, how it's worked for us, it's been really good.
Dabo, timeline question. You said you talked to Garrett that Tuesday night. Do you remember when did you sit down exactly with Brandon and kind of let him know what you were thinking and how that conversation go?
Yeah, I met with Brandon on Thursday. You know, once I really made the decision that this is what I was going to do.
Garrett, if your brother was Dabo's main sort of point of contact, and you're trying to learn more about Dabo in this place, I'm guessing that Lincoln was somebody you consulted. What did he share? What did others share about sort of to give you insight into what you might have been considering?
I certainly talked to Lincoln, and you know, not really as much about Coach Swinney. I think there's probably just the move, you know, and just, you know, what do you think, and just trying to get some guidance on some of the things that involves. So, you know, he doesn't have a whole lot of. I mean, I know they've seen each other and know each other through social things or seeing each other on the coaching circuit, whatever it's been. But you know, it was more of trying to, you know, just kind of learn from some people that have worked with Coach Swinney to try and maybe get some of that information. But yeah, I mean, I certainly talked to him.
Garrett, I'm guessing at some point you may want to be a head coach down the line, just to getting to learn from Dabo and kind of how he runs the program and stuff factor into the decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something I thought about. Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the way this thing's been built and what he's done, and to be as consistent as they've been, and to kind of do it his way. You know, I mean, that's what I respected from afar, just kind of watching him throughout the years and watching Clemson. And man, I just really respect that they've done it, you know, probably differently than a lot of people, you know, and just totally have conviction about his beliefs and how things are operated here, and the way he allows his players to be, and the way he, you know, builds chemistry and continuity from a coaching staff, you know, are all things that were, you know, thought about for sure.
Coach, watching your slideshow presentation this morning, and talking about, you know, never wanting expectations to exceed your appreciation, you feel like a large part of the fan base needed kind of a realignment of that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I don't pay attention to all that stuff, but you know it's there, right? And especially when you got, you know, all kind of stuff coming at you from different sides. And I mean, we've won 3 national championships in 127 years, and so, you know, some problems is we've won 2 and 7, so sometimes that can create a loss in perspective. And I think when you lose perspective, you lose your joy. And that's what's made Clemson unique and special, is this place has always had a lot of fun. And you guys that have been around here back in February of 11 when we signed that class and we had that signing day, you know, if I would have said to all of y'all coming off of 6 wins right there, hey, here's what's fixing to happen the next 12 years, Pete. I know we hadn't won 11 games in 31 years, but we're going to go do it 8 times in 11 years. I know we hadn't won 10 games in 20 years, but we're fixing to do it 12 years in a row. I know we hadn't won a national championship since 1981, but we're going to go to 6 Final Fours. We're going to win 2 national championships and come with an onside kick and winning another one. And we're going to win 12 straight postseason games. 12 years in a row. Nobody's ever done that in college football. Oh, and by the way, we're going to graduate 98% of our guys. And we're going to have 13 top 15 recruiting classes in a row. Y'all would have all looked at me like I was crazy. You know, and the Clemson man would say, hey, well, sign me up for that. All right? And it's not that we've been perfect every year, and we're never going to be perfect every year. But, man, we've had a lot of joy in the journey. And I think when you lose perspective of that and how hard it is, it's like, again, when we won the ACC championship up there in Charlotte in 11, there were 5,000 people at the West End Zone. It was unbelievable. Couldn't even get off the bus. 5,000 people. Now, there ain't nobody there. Now it ain't no big deal. And I think that's sad. I get it. I spent 13 years at Alabama. I know. And I've always, you know, wanted to make sure that I kept the right perspective, that I stay focused on my purpose, that this stays a purpose-driven program, that we don't lose focus on our why, that we don't ever lose joy in our journey. And because that's part of my responsibility as I lead a group of people, a lot of people in these walls here. And you know, it's been an incredible journey. And, you know, God doesn't give us that, right? Like, he doesn't just say, you know, hey, here you go. Here's the next 12 years. You know, just put your head down, and God just gives us just enough light to take that next step, right? And we just kind of keep going, you know, a lamp unto your path, right? Just enough light so you don't stomp your toe going to the back, right? So, you know, I mean, our program's never been better, ever. You know, we're off to a better start this decade than we were last decade. But again, sometimes people can lose perspective. And we've raised the bar here. We've changed the standard. We've changed the expectations, and I love that. But as we strive to meet and exceed those expectations every single year, we've got to keep the right perspective. And we've got to have joy in the journey. You know, just because, I mean, listen, things can happen, right? I mean, something can happen. You can be a great team, but maybe you don't win the national championship. That doesn't mean your team wasn't committed. That doesn't mean you have a lot of character. That doesn't mean you didn't, you know, I mean, people work their butts off around here, and we all want to win every single game. But there is no, you know, triumph without some great failure or challenge or setback or whatever along the way, right? It's always a part of your journey, and it's all good. And man, you start over every year and go to work, but man, what's happened in this program the last 12 years is it's historic, and it's been done by a lot of people. All I've done is my part. That's all I've done. But man, these players, the staff, all the support staff that have come through this program for years, and what's going on here, it's, I mean, 12 years of 10 plus wins. Alabama's had 15. The next longest streak is 2. You know, and for us to, you know, act like we're a bunch of failures around here because we only won 11 and won the league, and we lost our rival in state for the first time in a decade. I just think that's a bad mentality, you know. And if you're, again, 3 national championships in 127 years, and we Final Four, it's hard to get there. We'll forever be the only team that's been to 6 Final Fours in a row. That ain't ever going to happen, right? Because it's going to change next year. So it's hard. It's really hard to win. Everybody's got good coaches. Everybody got good players. But the consistency that we've been able to have here on and off the field it's incredibly rare. It's incredibly unique. And we focus so much on what we don't do, and instead of what we do. And you learn, you get better, you grow, you know, from each and every season. You make changes when you need to make changes. You you keep learning, you know, and so that has served us well, and you know, hopefully, you know, moving forward, we can, you know, kind of again have a reset, and not have a bunch of miserable people out there if we don't go 15-0. Because it's going to be a very miserable life if that's what you're waiting on every single year to determine your happiness. Got a bunch of great people that work their tails off and are incredibly committed to excellence every single year. And somewhere along the way, maybe we'll have that perfection. But you know, it's a daily, you know, deal that you have to stay committed to.
Garrett, Chapel Fowler with the state. Can you just give us a sense of who you are as a non-football coach, like any hobbies or what do you like to do when you're not being an offensive coordinator? Anything?
Yeah, no, I enjoy lots of other things.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town, Muleshoe, Texas, and you hunted, you played sports, or you worked. That was kind of what you did growing up. So that was my childhood. I love lakes. I love, you know, was able to do that in summers. So I love the outdoors. My family loved the outdoors. You know, so yeah, we enjoy other things outside of football.
Garrett, this is John Blau with the Post-Inquirer in Charleston. Simplicity of your offense, that seems to be pretty important. I talked to J.C. Hargraves. I think he said there was something like 12 pass concepts and 3 run concepts at Stephen F. Austin. Is it still that simple, or has it gotten more complex? And how important is simplicity?
Simplicity is still very important. You know, I just philosophically believe in making it easy for them and letting them be very confident in what they do and letting their God-given ability take over at that point. You know, and I think that's been a pretty consistent, good recipe, not just for me, but for lots of other people. And, you know, that's certainly something that, you know, is kind of a premium for myself in the way that I think. So, yeah, I think that is certainly a critical piece.
Dabo, Kyle Richardson, will he still be the passing game coordinator? Kind of played a role in that. I know he said that he's very familiar with this offense. And
Yeah, that won't change, you know. And again, you know, that'll be all delegated, you know, by Garrett as he delegates things and crafts things. But yeah, Kyle's got it's, you know, that is his background, and so that'll be a good bridge in the room for sure. It'll be good.
When you first called Lincoln, did you say something like, "Do you think Garrett would even be interested," or like how did that go?
You want me to just give you the details? Or
Did you think you had like a real shot at him before talking to Lincoln? I guess.
Oh man, I honestly, I just, you know, I don't trust a lot of people, especially in this day and age where, you know, it's just you can't, you know, a lot of people talk, and so Lincoln was a guy I knew I could trust, and as I would and I really wasn't even convinced that I was going to make a change just yet. Just was really just kind of doing my process, doing my due diligence, and just praying on it, thinking through it. And I had, you know, 3 or 4 names that I wanted to kind of vet out a little bit, and you know, knew that he would shoot me straight, if you will, and also you know, speak in confidence. So that's kind of where it went. I mean, obviously his brother was a guy that, you know, was kind of top of that list. So kind of started there, talked about the other guys, and then it was just, you know, whether or not there would be some interest. And once I found out there might be some interest, then I kind of put a hold on everything and just said, well, I'll wait till after this game, and then I'll reach out and go from there. And that's what we did.
So did you talk to anybody else? Any other candidates?
No, I didn't talk to anyone in person, no.
Any questions for either coach from Zoom? Anybody else in the room?
You guys at 85 Dabo scholarships at this point?
Oh, we're at 88. It's a good, one of my favorite numbers, but that's a problem. You know, it's I mean, roster management is hard in this day of, I mean, we got, what, a couple more years of COVID, I guess. and again, I'm thankful for that, because we got some great players that are coming back. I thought all these guys were gone. If you'd have told me back in the summer that Xavier Thomas and Maskell and Rook and Tyler Davis and JP, that those guys were all back here, I'd have said, what planet are you living on? So, you kind of plan for these things, but we've got 3 walk-ons on scholarship that we could take back if we had to. I mean, they came here as walk-ons, certainly wouldn't want to do that. Hunter's on scholarship, Dominique's on scholarship, and my snapper Casperson's on scholarship. Those guys have earned it, and they deserve it. But, they did come here as a walk-on, and I mean, if it got to that, but who knows? In May I may be at 65 scholarships. They may hate Garrett. I don't know. Heck with me, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go under wing T somewhere. I don't know. So that's where we are today. It doesn't take much to really put the math together. So we will be at 85 by August. Is where you've got to be. And if we didn't lose anybody after spring ball last year, and hopefully we don't lose anybody this year. We've got a great roster. I think we've put. If y'all heard me say that earlier today, I think we've put really 3 special classes together in a row. Special. Shipley, Maffa, Rennie, Barrett, Trotter, Nate, that whole Marcus Tate, that group that will be true juniors to go on top of that group last year that were true freshmen that will be sophomores, and Cade and Blake and Colin Sadler. Some of the other guys that have come in here, Antonio Cole, Adam Randall. I mean, we got it's a great class. I mean, we really signed a great class. To put with this group, I think it's a really special roster that I think is built to do some things for many years to come. So I'm excited to get to work with them, and we'll see what happens. But again, we didn't lose anybody last year after spring, and hopefully we don't lose anybody this year. But if you do, you deal with it. But that's where we are today.
Dabo, if I could ask one quick question about injuries. I know Thomas Austin said today that Walker and Marcus will be out for the spring. Anyone else that you could say that you know?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But we got several guys, honestly, that have some postseason surgeries. Some more than others that'll be either out or limited. As we get into spring, but those 2 I've confirmed, that they'll be fine. But that's actually, I think we've talked about this. I really think that's going to be a blessing for us because we've got a lot of film with Marcus and a lot of film with Walker Parks. We really know who they are, and these are really true. These are 2 guys that I mean, they know what it's about. They know how to come to work, and we know what we've got there. So it's going to allow us to really have a deeper dive from an evaluation standpoint in some of these other linemen. So I'm excited about that.
That with support staff, or there's some changes made there as well?
Yeah, we had a few changes. We hired a new nutritionist, Megan Turcotte, stole her from Miami. She's outstanding. She was actually a student here back finishing up our first championship in 16, worked for Georgia for a few years, and then was the head person at Miami this past year. She's great. We got JT Bandy is a new young operations assistant who's coming on board. We hired Will Gilchrist, who is going to be a special teams guy for us to work with Bill. And Daquan Bowers is back. Really excited about that. Cavell Connor got the D coordinator job at West Florida. Caleb Nobles got the head coaching job. So they created a spot there, and so it was awesome to be able to bring Daquan back. He's been running his own room at South Florida the past 3 years. So getting him back is really good, and then we got another young man that we'll be bringing in here that's actually spent some time with Garrett that'll fill Caleb Noble's role as a player development guy for us on offense. So I think that's it. Noah Harvin in the equipment room. He's our assistant equipment manager. So there's a few changes along the way.
Garrett, I think you've position coached every offensive unit, if I'm not wrong. How's that kind of informed your overall philosophy as a coordinator, coaching tight ends and running backs and receivers along with quarterback?
Yeah, I haven't touched O line. I hope to not. But no, yeah, it's certainly, I feel like groomed me to understand it as much as you can and continue to grow and have to motivate different types of players on the team and be with different position groups. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trade that for the world. You know, I really wouldn't. And that certainly, I think, probably accelerated, you know, my knowledge of the game, you know, in a young career still.
Dabo, I know you mentioned passing offense and passing defense being the two big areas. Just with defense, you feel like anything philosophical needs to change, or is it more just guys playing better and improving?
Yeah, we just got to get better. I love what we're doing. I think we're in a really good spot there, you know, personnel wise, and then also just where I think we're heading coaching wise. I think we're in a good spot, and you know, maybe didn't quite get some of the results, and we got to, you know, got to be a little better on the offensive side too. Sometimes those affect some things, but the main thing is being more disciplined in our pass defense, and we're going to have a lot of more experience back. We're bringing in some really, you know, more guys with depth that can be able to help us there. But discipline details, you know, really learning from our mistakes. But that's the number one area we got to get better. And you know, when you are who we are up front, you're gonna see more in the passing game than you do the so it's kind of a natural that's, you know, sometimes that can get skewed a little bit, but that's where we got to get better. And the same thing in the pass offense. We got to get back to being, you know, who we've been around here for, you know, 10 or 12 years in the past.
Take one final question if anybody has one.
Coach Riley, Johnny Paldudo with Revore. A few weeks ago with the men's basketball game, you got your first chance to be in front of the Clemson fans and see the passion that they have for their teams here. What was that experience like for you and for your family, and what was it like to hear that reaction as you walked out on the court?
I was blown away. I had no idea. I thought I was going to go down there and just kind of wave to the crowd, and they're going to get me out of there. And so I didn't expect that at all. I was totally blown away, you know. And I know my family were, and there it was, and two little boys were fired up about it. So that was pretty special. Yeah, no question. You can see pretty quickly, you know, the passion that people have about Clemson athletics and Clemson in general. That was pretty cool.
All right, Coach Riley, Coach Swinney, thank you both.